we are live in 3, 2, 1. Just kidding, we've been live the entire time.
She got me.
Oh no, the spell. And it has to be live. Oh, of course. Well, my name is Symone Smash-it, and my wires are coming loose, but that's okay. And today I am with Clif. Clif, do you have a artist name that you normally go by?
I've been releasing glitch work under creation, and music actually, under creation by destruction for obvious reasons, you know, because,
absolutely.
you know, destroying images for aesthetic purposes.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what we all know and love.
Well, some people know it, I don't know.
Okay, well, between you and I.
All right.
So Creation by Destruction, please follow, like, share, and see him tonight at Nights of the Living Glitch Art. Clif, why don't you go ahead and start by telling me a little bit about your art, your process, and how you got there.
That's interesting.
I know.
I've never really been artistic very much. Like I guess in my childhood I was, and then it kind of stopped.
That's surprising.
In my teenage years. And then I was living in California, and I didn't know anybody when I first moved out there, and I was doing some internship shit, and yeah, I was posting on Facebook groups and making memes with some online Photoshop clone.
Heck yeah.
And suddenly I got into this group called Glitch Artist Collective and started using Photoshop for aesthetic purposes rather than, you know, relatable internet macro images.
Right.
And then got put in charge of this group, Glitch Artist Collective, and started a bunch of similar groups and curated pages.
Did you want to be in charge of this group?
Not really. I was just active, and I made another group, which I didn't realize at the time was like a 24/7 ongoing interactive.
Sorry, these wires.
Her wires are falling and my wires are crossed.
Yeah.
But I started a group that was essentially people were posting selfies asking the artists in the group to glitch them.
Yeah.
And all the artists were getting pissed, so I started a group called Glitch Request for people to post their selfies in and then glitch them. And that's how I got started actually doing administrative tasks on the website or on the Facebook group. It's definitely not a website. It will be glitchartists.co. Yeah, coming soon.
Coming soon.
To an internet near you. Yeah, so I just kind of fell into it and it fit, and while I was doing a bunch of other things in California, I did it in my spare time, and now we have almost 70,000 members in the group, I think, and a bunch of offshoot groups and tens of thousands of people creating art digitally on a daily basis, and it's really blown up and it's crazy, and I'm getting dragged out to Minneapolis and Europe in October, and I really have no idea how any of this happened or how I got here, but I've dropped out of school to be an artist now and no more physics.
I love it.
Yeah, it turns out I could still get art internship, art residencies at CERN, so I'm still kind of doing what I was trying to do to begin with.
Yes.
But with more freedom and less taking the ivory tower and trying to smash the glass ceiling with it in academia. So I'm stoked to be here.
Definitely.
Getting interviewed on some live Minneapolis television network. This is insane.
So, are you from here originally?
No.
Where are you from?
I'm from a tiny little town in Florida named Dade City. Not Dade County. It's not Miami.
Okay.
And everybody thinks it's not everywhere in Florida is palm trees and crazy drunken white people.
Got you.
Some of us are just not drunken, so it's just completely crazy. About 3,000 people in that little town, and I was there for 4 years on a 30-acre property. And then my parents split, and I moved to Gainesville. Gators, I don't know if people are into sports, probably not.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, enough to know about the Gators.
Everybody knows who Tim Tebow is.
I don't know who that is.
Sweet, I'm so it's gonna make everything go so much more. And yeah, I did that, and then traveled, I don't know, and then California for 7 years, and then now I'm back in Florida, but
you're all over the place.
Now I'm just all over the place. I just got my passport.
I love it.
So finally leaving the country.
That's
and excitement.
Where will you be going for Europe?
Oh, is this where I plug exhibitions that are going
Absolutely.
on? All right. Early October, Zagreb, Croatia for Foo Bar, and late October for Blue which is a glitch artist collective exhibition in Paris, France. And
Oh, beautiful.
literally in shock that I'm getting even invited to these things, let
Yeah.
alone presenting
No,
my
absolutely.
work, let alone leaving the country. Like,
I mean, obviously you're doing something right.
I'm doing something, right?
You can phrase it however you
Yeah.
would like.
Commas and question marks
Right,
and
yeah.
inflections wherever.
You're doing something.
I'm doing something.
Right.
Right? Right.
Right. No, that is incredible. I love hearing the stories of people that are like, oh, like I'm in school and like I'm trying to do this thing and it's not working, and then just do it on their own. That's just, it gives so much hope. Like it's just, not even hope, it just shows you like you can do it.
Yeah.
Just continue doing it.
Well, I wasn't doing any of this. None of this was school related.
Yeah.
I was doing
yeah.
physics in school and like supercomputers.
You were going to go for
I was going for physics.
Wow, okay.
But I was doing all this art stuff, and then the physics was getting in the way of the art stuff, and the art stuff was going better than the physics was, so I'm just...
Yeah.
And then, you know, my dad recently had a mild stroke, don't feel bad, it shit happens. But I had to go back to Florida, so I was like, bye school.
Yeah.
So 45K and no degree later. And
Yeah, well, you know.
like,
but,
at least I'm an American. We're all drowning.
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom isn't free. It costs $1 trillion in student loan debt for you and me.
Well, I'm wondering, so you had all that physics mumbo jumbo, and then what was the point between when you had physics and art going at the same time and you're like, what the heck am I doing right now?
There's actually, I have a precise memory
Perfect.
of when
Yes.
that happened. I had just moved to Berkeley, and I was doing an internship up at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab doing like computational chemistry on supercomputers. Hashtag humble brag. The government moved me out there. Bad idea, guys. And I went to see a show right down the hill at the Greek Theater, which was built by William Randolph Hearst. Hearst is the worst.
Yikes.
And but anyway, I was there and I saw Kronos Quartet followed up by a Montauban on his Sam tour, and he has this crazy, just super intense audiovisual projection mapped setup, and some of his music is some of the most insane like electronic music that you can't even really shove into any particular EDM genre. And I was sitting there thinking, oh my god. I was thinking about the computational power that it would be required to do something like that. And I realized that I was working on supercomputers, and I'm also a musician, kind of a jack off of all trades, a masturbator and none, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm not actually good at anything I do, but you know, I do a lot of things, just not any of them particularly well.
You just do stuff.
Yeah, right?
Right.
And I was sitting there, and I've always been into like live performance. I've always been into music. I was never really into visuals, but I was like kind of thinking about wanting to get into like visuals. And this is before the whole glitch artist collective thing had happened for me. It was like right before it. So that moment of trying to get into projection map visuals and thinking about extreme computational power and learning all of those things, how can I apply those things artistically while still like doing all of the research and doing all of the physics and computational chemistry and whatever the fuck else I was doing, and how am I gonna like combine this with my music and my like artistic vision? And then, you know, like a year later, Glitch Artist Collective happened because I realized I don't have the means with my shitty late 2007 white MacBook to do any of that kind of stuff, or even really like use Ableton or anything.
Yeah.
And you know, I realized my limitations, so I started making shitty static 2D images for the internet, and now we're here. Like 6
Who
or
knew
7
that
years
the
later.
internet just wanted shitty static 2D images so badly?
It's better than cat videos and videos of getting people
right about
like
that.
getting kicked in the balls and hurting themselves.
That too.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm just so glad though that the internet decided collectively, like, yes, we want shit memes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's relatable content, you know. It's macro images with using culturally relevant symbology to transmit a vague but as universally recognized meaning as possible, or meaning. But that translation to people, that that relation of being able to trigger as many people's cultural relevance neurons of this is relatable content. That ability is something that has never happened in human history, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Throughout all the Renaissance paintings and all the different art movements, that ability for culture to develop interactively, immersively in real time is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rather live in any other period of human history except maybe when cave persons were making handprints on the wall, the first cave paintings.
And why would you want to go back?
Because that was the first time that humans had a subjective self-awareness. And the only time, in my opinion, comparable to human history is maybe the development of 3D perspective, which is humans gaining a subjective interpretation of their external reality. Yeah. And then there's now, which is us being tapped in to a cybernetic collective consciousness and actually being able to connect with people across the globe. The person who started Glitch Artist Collective is a Canadian who lives in South Korea. I know people from all over Europe. I've never fucking been there. I know people in Australia. Once again, never been there. Yeah. I've collaborated on code with somebody in Arizona and Australia. I've helped, we've all helped development of this art culture, but then there's also more on a wider scale, because we have our shitty niche digital art, but on a wider scale, there's this crazy ongoing culturally relevant macro image meme factory that's happening with people using relatable content from all over the world, you know?
And it just seems so nonchalant to say that, but it's actually insane that you can say that.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
I'm living in a time period where we're getting a semi-physical but digital manifestation of a greater developed connected, I don't want to sound all hippy-dippy, but a connected human consciousness.
Yeah, no,
and we're seeing the physical ramifications of that through literally silicon cybernetic digital enhancement, and it's fucking mind-blowing. And I don't even know what to make of it yet, and I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that brings up something else that I would be down to talk about, so I can completely divert having to talk about my art at all.
Why?
Because it's meaningless.
Got him.
Got you.
Got it again. Thought he wouldn't do it.
But because it means something to me. But that's for the critical art theorists in a few years to figure out. I don't need that shit. It means something to me, but I can't tell you all the different things I was thinking as I was making it. I don't even remember. Now it means something different, and will continue to change, just change rapidly, just like the meme culture and everything else. I think that brings up an interesting point, though, that you didn't really ask me about. But fuck it, I'm taking the reins. I'm taking the reins. I think that for those of you familiar with meme culture, I know that we probably are, but for those of us that don't have a LinkedIn and aren't LinkedIn, I haven't updated mine in a few years.
LinkedIn is actually dead.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. I mean, did it ever come alive?
Did you hear it through a 6-second video grapevine? I thought it was still alive somewhere. I don't know.
I mean, it is alive, but not.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
It's okay.
Sorry. Anyway. I think that's why some of the most relatable content right now is life is meaningless. All the nihilistic meme culture that's really developed, I think, is a sign of the times. Some of us were nihilists before it was cool, but as I've seen those nihilist memes come to fruition, I guess I'm like some sort of pretentious hipster because I'm like, oh wow, I actually should like, if this is relatable content in 2018, and this is getting like hundreds of thousands of likes, that everything is meaningless. I hate being like socially isolated by being a part of the like this networked thing that is supposed to bring us closer regardless of like distance restrictions.
Yeah.
Like this thing that's supposed to be connecting us all is making us feel incredibly like isolated and alone. Social media is making us socially isolated, even though, you know, and now everybody's like FOMOing at the mouth. That stands for fear of missing out, being at the mouth. That's in case I'll miss that one. But
well,
yeah,
since you brought that up, I'm wondering, do you like? This is something I've asked each artist already. But what's your purpose? Is like what you've touched on? Is that something that you're hoping to bring to light?
My purpose in what?
With your art, or with your life, or just as a being. What is your purpose? You can take it however you'd like.
Okay. Well, art-wise purpose, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm shitposting on the internet, and occasionally, like, and it's getting me into situations where I get to travel and meet a bunch of people who I've already connected with on the internet. Yeah. So that's cool. Purpose-wise, you know, I think that we could be better. I think that humans have we have infinite potential, you know. If we can dream it, we can do it. Magic is just science we don't understand yet, you know. If we can dream it, we can there's a way that we can figure it out. There's a way that it's possible, you know. There's a way that engineered scarcity doesn't have to exist, and like planned obsolescence doesn't have to exist, and there doesn't have to be this huge disparity between people based upon geographic location or income inequality, or, you know, nobody needs 9 or 10 zeros on their bank account, you know, when there are people literally starving to death. And I don't know if I'm doing anything relevant to help fix that, besides like maybe like rejecting some of my white privilege. Maybe just a little bit of it. And I'm trying to be the best that I can be. And I hope that me doing that, except on the internet when I'm being an asshole. Right. But, you know, that's because it's the internet, you know. I don't know what my purpose is here, but I try to make the right calls so that I'm developing and helping those around me and those that I've connected with throughout the years also develop and be, not that they're bad, or not that we aren't all doing it to the fullest extent that we can given the like confines and limitations of the human experience, but I'm trying to grow.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying, I see this like globally connected human species thing, and I hope that everybody is trying to grow as well. And I don't really know what my art or the groups do or like art in general, maybe cultural development. I don't know what that does to facilitate a positive change, but I am trying to be good and like have continuously positive interactions with the people that I'm around, except when I'm banning people from Glitch Artist Collective. Sorry, y'all. That's what you get for making homophobic remarks. And
I mean, that in itself is good, and I mean, all you can do at the end of the day sometimes is try to be the best person you can be with the information that you've been given.
But then again, I'm sure there have been like weird fascist, like genocidal dictators who were trying to be the best people that they could be and like create. So it's really a double-edged sword.
With the information that they've been given, and I mean, where their mind goes and chooses to interpret that information is. Yeah, I mean, that's an entirely other conversation.
Do no harm, try to make a positive impact, live it up, because the temporal limitation that humans have is really short when you're trying to do a lot of things. So, you know.
But I'm going to wrap this up. I love that before we go into like some crazy conversation that you're not going to see. yeah, no, I'm just so glad that I get to have an experience where I get to meet with you all, like all the artists, and instead of just looking at your art and like wondering, or just like looking at it and be like, oh, that's cool, you know, instead I get to see and deep perspective on like how you got there and how you think. So I hope the people watching that and that come tonight to Nights of the Living Glitch Art think about that, and we will see you soon. Bye.